I converted grandmother's Victorian house into a ventriloquist museum, and my mother won't stop crying. When my grandmother passed away and left me her Victorian house downtown, my entire family suddenly became renovation experts with very strong opinions about what I should do with the property. My mother called every morning with ideas about open floor plans and subway tile, while my brother kept sending links to house flipping seminars because watching 3 YouTube videos apparently makes you a real estate mogul. During Sunday dinner, my dad started drawing renovation blueprints on a napkin, while my cousin kept talking about some couple who made millions turning their inherited house into vacation rentals. My mother leaned across the table and said, "We really need to know your plans because the Historical Society wants to feature the house in their spring tour." My uncle was calculating property tax increases on his phone while suggesting I convert the attic into a yoga studio because that's what millennials do with attics now. I stabbed my fork into my mashed potatoes and realized I needed to shut this down immediately. The next morning, I called my friend who manages a theater company and asked if I could borrow their entire collection of ventriloquist dummies for a month and posted on their actor forum offering $50 per person to play ventriloquist enthusiasts for an afternoon. Within 3 days, I had 57 dummies stationed throughout the house, including one terrifying Victorian specimen in the entrance hallway with glass eyes that seemed to follow you around the room. I created fake business registration documents for the American Ventriloquist Heritage Museum and designed brochures with made-up facts like ancient Egyptians invented ventriloquism to communicate with the afterlife and admission prices of $35. When I invited the family over for the big reveal, I dressed in a blazer with a museum director name tag and greeted them at the door with a dummy on my arm saying, "Welcome to our soft opening," in my worst ventriloquist voice without moving my lips properly. My aunt literally screamed when she walked into the living room where I arranged 12 dummies in Victorian clothing, sitting at a formal tea party with tiny cups and saucers, while a sign explained this was the ventriloquist social recreation display. My mother's face went completely pale when she saw the dining room had been converted into the Hall of International Ventriloquism, with dummies from around the world, including one wearing a kimono that I claimed was worth $30,000. My brother stood frozen in the doorway staring at the mechanical dummy in the corner, whose head turned slowly back and forth on a timer, while pre-recorded laughter played from hidden speakers. The actors started arriving right on schedule, and watching my family's horror as apparent strangers showed up genuinely excited about the ventriloquist museum was absolutely priceless. One actor walked straight up to my dad and said, "I drove 3 hours just to see your collection because I heard you have an original Charlie McCarthy replica," while another woman burst into tears when she saw the Victorian dummy saying, "I've been studying Duchess Delilah for my dissertation and can't believe she's finally on public display." The best performance came from an older actor who brought his own dummy and started doing a full routine in the hallway, while my mother pressed herself against the wall trying to escape his aggressive crowd work, asking if she'd ever considered that ventriloquist dummies might have souls. I handed out fake brochures while explaining our upcoming events, including dummy dating night, where singles could bring their dolls to find love, and ventriloquist yoga, where participants would hold poses while maintaining conversations with their wooden partners. My aunt asked in a shaking voice if this was even legal, and I pulled out fake paperwork saying the city had approved us as an educational institution. My brother kept trying to calculate how much I'd spent on all these dummies, while an actor behind him loudly told another visitor, "I'm saving up to commission a custom dummy that looks exactly like my deceased mother, so we can finally finish our last conversation." When my uncle suggested maybe this wasn't the best use of the property, 3 actors immediately surrounded him explaining how ventriloquism was experiencing a cultural renaissance. My mother organized an emergency intervention with a PowerPoint about property values and mental health that the whole family showed up for. My father had printed articles about failed novelty museums, while my brother had contacted a real estate agent to discuss selling if I'd reconsider before destroying grandmother's legacy. My aunt brought her therapist via video call to discuss what she termed grief-induced ventriloquist fixation, and the therapist said, "This might be your way of avoiding grandmother's death by surrounding yourself with frozen faces that can't judge you." The therapist then asked, "Do you feel like the dummies understand you better than real people?" And I bit my tongue to keep from laughing while nodding solemnly and whispering, "Sometimes I hear them whispering my grandmother's recipes to me at night." My mother started crying and said, "I called 3 museums asking about ventriloquist addiction recovery programs," while my father admitted, "I've been researching whether we could have you declared incompetent to manage the property." My brother showed me the real estate listing he drafted with photos of the house before I filled it with dummies, and my aunt was begging me to think about what grandmother would want. The therapist started asking about my childhood relationship with puppets when I lost it, and burst out laughing while pulling up photos on my phone saying, "These are from the theater company's prop warehouse. I borrowed all the dummies for $50 because you people wouldn't stop harassing me about renovations." The relief on my mother's face was immediately replaced with fury as she threw a pillow at my head screaming, "You made me lose 3 nights of sleep over those creepy dolls. Nobody asked me about renovation plans anymore."